Well, welcome everybody to Menlo's Local Heroes, where we are incredibly passionate about inspiring you to get involved in your local community. My name is Michael Reyes. I'm the South Bay Outreach Director here at Menlo Church. If you're new with us, I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can have all of our inspiring content delivered to you each time we upload inspiring sermons, local heroes, and much more. So make sure to subscribe. You guys, currently there are about 50 million Americans right now on unemployment. In the last couple of weeks, about 3 million jobs have been declared permanently gone. In July of this year, July 2020, the United States Census Bureau reported that about 29 million Americans within that last week did not have enough food to eat, enough food to put on their table. Today, you guys, I am so glad we are talking with my friend Hermie Smit. He is the department director at CityTeam, and he is leading the effort in providing food for families who right now have to decide between paying their bills and putting food on the table. For the past 19 years, he's been with the organization CityTeam right here in Santa Clara County and leading this charge. Hermie, what you do is always relevant, man, but maybe even more so during these times because of the pandemic, because of shelter in place, businesses shutting down. So I've been excited to talk with you, Hermie, for a long time. Thank you so much for joining us today, man. I appreciate it.
Michael, thank you, man. It's just a great privilege and honor to be with you guys, and thank you for sharing this platform, with me, and to share a bit of a light on what we're doing out in the community and some of the things we are doing together with Menlo. So Menlo Church has been long time CityTeam supporter, and we're just so grateful and thankful for that.
For sure. So with that said, Hermie, what is a mobile food pantry?
Well, first of all, Michael, just real quick, I love the theme of the local heroes. I just don't feel like myself is a hero, but I think there is some heroic work that is taking place here, and I get to be spokesperson for an amazing team, but also our partners like Second Harvest of Silicon Valley that makes this possible, church partners like Menlo and many others, and just hundreds of volunteers. Just real quick, pre-COVID, 1 in 4 people were food insecure in Silicon Valley. That's double the national average. Now with shelter in place, I mean, that has just blown up incredibly. And we have not seen the level of desperation ever. And like you said, I've been with CityTeam for 19 years, and food is such a big need. A mobile food pantry, great question what that is, and the difference between kind of like a stationary pantry. The way I look at it is, think farmer's market, that's a mobile food pantry, and a grocery store, that's more of a stationary traditional pantry. And at the beginning of 2018, we really started to implement a mobile food pantry strategy. And the reason why is because that allows us to then scale what we do here at our warehouse, to scale it to neighborhoods that really needs it. And it's just really the most cost-effective and efficient way of getting food into people's kitchens. That's it's also kind of like a hub and spoke strategy where food gets delivered. Second Harvest of Silicon Valley, they come and deliver 3 times a week, every week here at our place. Wow. Then we get it processed. And then if you look at these mobile food pantries, our trucks go out, or even some of our partners come and pick up, but the majority of our trucks go out. And those are kind of like the spokes from the hub. And we take it to where people live, learn, and play. And more importantly, and at times that they're available. So no longer are we constrained with how many people can we fit here in our parking lot, which is small, or how many people can get to our facility, but we can go out.
Man, that's amazing, Hermie. I mean, so obviously, I mean, most people are aware of just a regular food pantry where if you're in need, you go drive to it and pick up the food. You register with whether it's CityTeam, Second Harvest, as you discussed. But it sounds like the demand in Silicon Valley is what inspired you to start leading the charge on the mobile food pantry. You can only fit so many people in your parking lot. you know 1 in every 4 people in Silicon Valley are food insecure. So you're just thinking, how do we get food to those who need it and make it easy for them?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love the fact that, um, we don't want to do this alone because, our goal is to meet immediate needs, share the unconditional redemptive love of Christ by caring for immediate needs and enabling lasting solutions. And we believe that, yes, we can address the immediate needs and then build the trust and then empower people with lasting solutions. And we want to partner with churches because churches are, I believe, not only are they mandated, but they want to do that. So we want to come alongside and work together and also with other organizations, how to love on our neighbors, and then also really empower them to see holistic transformation take place.
Yeah, that's good. Real quick, before we move on, we started using this term food insecurity, and I'm
Yes.
sure not everybody listening knows what food insecurity is. You said 1 in every 4 Silicon Valley are food insecure. What does that mean to be food insecure?
Yeah, great question. Food insecure means that you are constantly thinking about, worrying about providing enough food for you and your family. And we see that food insecure people a lot of times, they because of cost of living, they don't make enough after they pay rent and all the other bills. There's not enough to pay for food. Many times they have to skip meals or go with less, go without. So that's really what food insecurity looks like. And the biggest driving force is cost of living here in Silicon Valley. So that's why 1 in 4 people are food insecure. And the funny thing is actually the most underserved people are the working poor. So these are people with
Yeah,
jobs, sometimes 2, 3 different incomes in the house. And after paying rent, they still cannot have enough food in the house.
man, and that's in normal times. This is
Yeah.
with shelter in place, businesses shutting down. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, just San Jose, the city of San Jose, there's 1 million people. 25%, let's just say 25% are food insecure. Man, I mean, that's a lot of people. 250,000. That's incredible.
Yeah,
Absolutely incredible.
I had no idea. I mean, this is one of the wealthiest places in the world. And I think that's part of the problem. And, but the thing that we've also realized is there is enough food. There's plenty of food. No one should be able to go hungry. The
Wow.
challenge is, the challenge is just how do we get the food to those who need? How do we get them in their kitchens? And
Mhm.
there's logistical challenges, logistical barriers, and emotional barriers, and you got to address both to really address hunger here in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about that before you decide to bring a food pantry into a neighborhood, whatever neighborhood that is. What's the research that you're doing? What are the indicators that a particular neighborhood needs, or you should bring a mobile food pantry to them?
Great question. Yeah, so we have the official vetting process for a neighborhood. Second Harvest of Silicon Valley is part of that process. So we do like an impact study and just kind of see what other food resources are there, and then look at they have this map that shows where the different colors where most food insecure people are concentrated at. For us is also because it's about sustainability. We don't just want to start a pantry and then 5 months later not be able to keep it. So we
Mhm.
look at, okay, is this something, a location that we can provide services to? Do we also have a local church partner that we can partner with that will become kind of like that neighborhood church? And proximity is important. They can provide some of the volunteers and do some of the follow-up,
Mhm.
and then also look for sponsored church partners that will help underwrite some of the additional expenses that's related to starting a pantry twice a month at this location. So that's those are some of the boxes that we want to check. We also look at whether if it's going to be at a low-income apartment or low-income school. We need to get permissions and work out some MOUs with those entities, and and just see if there's common ground on the vision, and not just on providing food, but also our greater vision at CityTeam, that we also want to enable lasting solutions. And if all of those things lines up, then we pull the trigger and start to serve that community.
Hermie, I love what you just said right there about you guys. You're not only looking for people in need, but you made the point, you guys can't do this alone,
Mm.
and you need to partner with churches. You need to partner with people in the neighborhood, and so there's trust in the neighborhood. And
Oh
when
yeah.
when you talk about that, that reminds me of Nehemiah and how he was called to rebuild. And when you read that
Mm.
scripture, this set of people were responsible for this part of the wall, and this set of people
Mm.
were responsible for this part of the wall. And
Yeah.
when they didn't finish, this set of person, these people stepped up and they finished it. And I love that's exactly CityTeam. Hey, we are called. We're not going to fix every issue in Silicon Valley. We can't do everything, but I know that this part of the wall is ours, and bringing food to the food insecure. And in order to do that, CityTeam's going to take it on. Menlo Church needs to help out, and the neighborhood, whoever's in the neighborhood needs to help out. I love that. That's exactly how the church, how God's people are supposed to be operating right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I see these pantries. We are meeting a legitimate need, and you know, food is even more so than ever. And then these become then just really beachheads or platforms that then can lead to so much more. But it becomes platforms of collaboration. We
Mm,
partner with those that live there, and I refer to some of the logistical barriers and some of the emotional barriers. The emotional barriers is just, many people fear, do I qualify? There's some
mm,
shame, there's some of those type of things, and embarrassment. Am I going to stand in line? And even when they go to a quote unquote a permanent pantry, they come on our turf.
mm,
So they got to stand in line, they got to get a number, they got to be interviewed and all of that. So we see people have a bit of a different demeanor versus when you go to where they live or where they play at a community center or a school where the kids go to school. They know we've taken the extra mile, and
mm,
we are now on their turf. And it just, people just are way more relaxed, and then that
mm,
can lead to conversations. And the other thing, just with the logistical barriers, like, there is plenty of food. Uh, like I said, it's just the distribution. That's the challenge. How do we get it out of warehouses and grocery stores and stuff like that? How do we get it to the people that are in need, and really identifying those that really are in need? And then also, the challenge is a timing, because a lot of pantries we found, they're open during office hours. Well, if you have a job, your boss is not going to let you take off to go, to the pantry. So accessibility is a big issue. So proximity, accessibility. So a lot of our pantries, including the one that we have in your parking lot there in Menlo San Jose,
yeah,
it's after hours.
yeah,
So the people that have jobs, they can still access it when they come home from work, and that just makes such a big difference.
yeah. You made the point that people are working, right? And so
Yeah.
they can't come to the food pantry during working hours. So, but that to me, that's probably a common misconception with most people who think food pantry, whether it's mobile or stationary. Oh, anybody who goes to a food pantry, they're just, they're lazy, they don't want to work, they're just taking advantage of the system, but that is so far from the truth. The truth is these are hardworking people with multiple jobs, and their expenses. They're paying rent that's through the roof right here in Santa Clara County, and they're doing their best, to put food on the table, and it's still hard. And so we're,
Yeah.
we're gonna help. We're gonna help.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've done surveys at our pantries, and we see that, about 50% of our people that come to our pantry have skipped a meal in recently because they run out of food and didn't have money to go buy food. That's pretty big,
Huge.
And but yeah, just to your point, we look at the Alum Rock neighborhood. There was 11 pantries in that neighborhood. So you think, okay, well, yeah, that's probably enough. But then only one of the 11 were open after hours. So, so yeah, if you are a senior, or I mean, there's some issues there, but accessibility is a big, big problem.
Yeah,
So we just look at it as like, okay, we have to address the accessibility challenge for them.
yeah, that's good. So Hermie, for the past 19 years, you've been doing this. You've been leading teams. You've been recruiting volunteers. You've been boots on the ground, looking for neighborhoods with families and individuals that need food the most. And I hate to break it to you, Hermie, but you're not making millions of dollars. You're not
I'm not.
Instagram famous or YouTube famous or you know what is the reason that you're doing this?
Yeah, uh, I mean, I look at just really, it's one of those, I'm one of those super blessed people that, my calling and my gifts and my talents and all of that, it really lines up very well, with my job. So, so yeah, there's just a lot of satisfaction, with that. And, but I also look at, Matthew, as a Christ follower, Matthew 25, Jesus make it explicitly clear that it is super important for him that every follower love on the poor, the least of these. And if
Mm,
you just as much as visit or care or give a cup of water for the least of these, Jesus says you are serving me. So I love the fact that I can demonstrate my love for Christ in really practical ways by serving the poor. But then there's also Matthew 28, and I see that you know uh, my friend Nancy Ortberg, you always talk about. She also always talk about everything relational interactions and collaboration moves at the speed of trust.
mm,
So unless there is trust, you can't fulfill Matthew 28 to go and make disciples of all nations
mm.
and to baptize them, teach them to obey everything Christ has commanded us. So doing this Matthew 25 type of ministry is one of the best ways to really not only serve and love on Jesus, but also enable to establish relational trust with people. Otherwise, that would never walk into our church doors, that would never walk into our gates here, and give us a legitimate reason to be there, and then also be able to invite them to be empowered in greater ways. So that's
Oh
why I do this.
man, Hermie, that's man, I wish we would have a praise break right now if some of the churches would go up and that'll preach, man. I love that. I love that. I love that. You can't have Matthew 28 without Matthew 25. You
You
know,
can.
building that trust, feeding,
Yeah.
taking care of practical, meeting people where they're at. Don't even go try to make disciples. Don't even try to shove something down their throat unless there's trust and relationship, and unless people know that you really just care about their needs and who they are first and foremost. Man, I love that.
Yeah, and I mean, for us with low-income families, food is a great way to do that. But obviously, with your, um, that's not to say let's always use food. I mean, there's so many ways. People listening, you can be a blessing and meet needs of your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors,
Mm.
in creative ways. This is just one way we are doing that, but we want to make this go viral, where people are just we are being the light and the salt where we live, work, learn, and play, and look at ways that we can connect, be a blessing, get to know people, establish trust, and out of that will lead opportunities to more, to to share. And what we see at our pantries, people start asking, when you do Matthew 25 really well, you do it in loving ways, you do it in respectful ways, and especially when you go where they are at, they start asking, why are you doing this? They want to be part of it. They want to volunteer. They want to help.
Mm.
And we've seen many, many times that it leads to, you know, people saying yes to follow Christ. People um, want to be empowered and experience life in greater ways. But they also become then the workforce and the champions that lead the transformation from the inside out in these communities. And we love to activate people in that way.
Man, that is awesome. That is awesome. So I can hear your passion. I can hear, what is motivating you. And I love that. And I know, the driving, everything that is pouring that you get from this is just driving your motivation to expand and to reach more people. And at the same time, for me, I mean, it's a job, just like anybody else out here. And so I know there are some difficult days, and I know times get tough as well.
Yeah.
And so let me just ask you, when you don't feel like doing it anymore, when you are having those tough days and those
Mm.
doubts and whatever it is, what are the things that give you hope and give you strength to keep going?
Great question. Yeah, because, first of all, leadership is hard. Leadership is challenging. I don't care if you, and ministry is hard also. Those of you who are leaders and leading teams, people, we all have flaws. We bring our baggage. People bring their baggage, and they can. So just dealing with conflict, and so and just with setbacks, and sometimes you don't feel like doing things. But again, to make quote Nancy here, she always talks about that one of the most important qualities in a leader is grit. And I think that's one thing that just having grit, even when you don't feel like, when things get hard, you don't think about giving up. You just like, okay, you just stay persistent and be able to do that. So I think that's something that I have really developed over the years. But grit is not enough by itself. I think just having a team and people that you can go to, that you can just be yourself and share when you are going through difficult times. My men's group at Echo Church has been phenomenal, and I have some coaches and mentors that can really help you navigate through that. So those have, and then the other thing again, this is something I learned from Nancy at TVC, is the number one thing that prevents leaders from burnout is to have a hobby that you practice on a regular basis and you just lose track. So that's one thing. There was a season not too long ago, things got really out of whack, and that's one of the gifts COVID has given me and my family, is to take time. And I picked up fishing about a year ago, and that's one of those things, man. If I go fish, I look at it as like, man, I don't even get hungry. 5 hours is just not enough. And cycling is the other thing. And then just also have some quality time, have some time away to spend with the family. Those are all the things that prevents some of that burnout, and that help you to kind of keep going when things get tough. And it does, and it will get tough.
That's so good. That's so good. I'm a little disappointed. I hate fishing, but I'm a golfer. And so I wish you said golf. So I've been like, man, let's go golf and let's go hit the links, but so
Oh,
true. And that is, having the hobby. But I think what I heard is the key there. Um, the relationships in your life to help carry you through those days where you're just not feeling it. You pointed to your church, you pointed to your men's group, you talked about your family. That relational nutrient that we all need to help us get us through those times is just so important. And man, I love that the men's group at Echo Church is that for you. That's awesome.
yeah, a place where I'm just Hermie. I'm just one of the guys, and where you can just be real. There's other groups like Inklings and New Canaan Society has also been just phenomenal, and a great safe place, encouraging place. So, and I think for me as a leader, I need to also look at and being aware of, my team. They need some time away also. They need some support. They need some times where they can vent. They need also just encouragement, and they need acknowledgement. It can be, it's great when people are very appreciative, but there's times where I got cussed out, and people get cussed out because they show up with, it's a very stressful time, and when people lose a lot of control, it just at some little control that they have, it's just that there's a lot of stresses. Sometimes when they're waiting a little bit longer, this or that, sometimes they direct some of that stuff, they direct it towards us, or even some of our volunteers. So, to help to put that in perspective, help to encourage, and just let people see what their contribution are. And what we are doing is absolutely important, is essential. And no matter if you're, whatever role you are playing, you know, this thing can't happen without us working together, and everybody's contribution takes place. So yeah, I just love this whole ecosystem. And you know, I'm standing on the shoulders of people before me. You know, if Second Harvest of Silicon Valley is not the rock stars that they are, what they're doing, we can't do what we're doing. And if our church partners are not generous and willing to give their time and their ability and some of their treasure and things like that, you know, it all need to work together. So that's a kingdom of God.
Yeah. So pre-COVID, February of this year, February 2020, how many food pantries did you have running, and approximately how many families were you serving?
Yeah, we had 15 pantries at that point that we were serving on a monthly basis, and we served about 1,700 unduplicated households at those pantries.
That's good. And so 15 and about 1,000 households. And
1,700.
What was that?
1,700 households.
1,700. And so since COVID and shelter in place, shutting businesses down, we've seen that huge spike of unemployment. We've seen if people didn't lose their job, they at least, you know, probably got a pay cut, or, you know, so we saw a huge increase in need. And so since COVID, how many food pantries have you had to increase to, and how many families are you guys now serving?
Yeah, I mean, look, this whole shutdown, shelter in place have been devastating to the low income community. Absolutely devastating. I think, you know, there's just so many people lost their jobs and lost their ability to have any income. And then so many people we serve, you know, there's no unemployment, there's no stimulus coming because they don't qualify for that. So you can just imagine you're scraping by now.
Wow.
You're just absolutely in total desperation. So we were working with Second Harvest, and again, you know, great trust, great relationship, constant communication, and we just said we want to do more. We want to do more, and we've increased. We got now 25 pantry sites that we serviced, and we serve 4,300 unduplicated 4,100 unduplicated households, and that's 138% more households in July than it was in in January. So it almost tripled.
Oh my gosh.
So you can just imagine it's been you know, in the beginning was really crazy, and then on top of that we had to completely change the way we distribute. I mean, you saw that now we're doing drive-throughs and all of that. Yeah. And yeah. It was pretty crazy in the beginning with a lot less volunteers and all of that, but yeah,
so
it's been so worth it.
So from 1,700 to over 4,000 families, I mean, almost overnight, really. That is just absolute. When you talk about needing grit, you know, to get through some of those tough things, Hermie, I can't say enough. CityTeam, your team. You guys have been an example of what it means to be gritty and just push through and go meet some needs. I know at our San Jose campus specifically, you guys bring out the mobile food pantry, Menlo San Jose, every first and third Wednesday of the month. And when we started, or earlier this year, you guys have been there already for a while, but earlier this year, I know we were at about like 20, 25 families just on a regular basis every time you guys came. And then once COVID hit, we are now at approximately 100 families that come through our parking lot, Menlo San Jose, every first and third Wednesday of the month. And that ratio is pretty much on par with what you just said, you know, almost, you know, 4 times, you know, 3 to 4 times increase in demand. So times are tough right now for a lot of people, man. And so I just want to speak to anybody who's listening right now. If you or someone you know just needs help putting food on the table right now, wherever this video is posted, I'm going to make sure to include the link to CityTeam's food distribution sites and have some resources on there so you guys can share that. And then also to be able to continue to do the work that you're doing, Hermie. We've been talking about partnering with churches. We've been talking about, the community. I know you need volunteers. Your team has carried a lot of the weight these past few months. And so volunteers, restrictions have lightened up, and so volunteers are very much needed right now. Hermie, what does it take to be a volunteer?
Yeah, it just, I think it's just a willingness to go and help out. You don't need any special training or things like that. You're just going to sign up on our website at cityteam.org, volunteering. There'll be a list of locations where you can serve. Actually, we were running really, really short. We had good volunteer participation while school was closed. Now a lot of those are back in school, so we need some volunteers to sign up. And so yeah, you just sign up, create an account. You're going to show up, got to bring a mask, and we do a questionnaire, and we take people's temperature and just make sure that you are not showing up sick. And please, if you have any symptoms, stay home, not just for your safety but also for others. And yeah, it's just a great experience. Some of it, is about 2 to 3 hours, and just to be willing to lift things, load food in people's trunks, or go at some of the senior sites and some of the low-income apartments. What we do is we go and actually deliver it at their doorsteps and ring the bell, step aside, and just put a smile and just greet, and just have some interaction. I talked with a lot of people and that are volunteering, because we really, really appreciate our volunteers. And what people have said is like they got, almost, COVID cabin fever and missed that interaction. And this has become, some have said, this has given meaning to this crisis, because I was starting to feel depressed. I was starting to feel overwhelmed because there's so much negativity. But being part of what we are doing with partnership with local churches, it gave meaning to this crisis, and they feel like they are part of something really epic, something that is momentous, that we're going to look back years from now, and I think this is going to be the starting point of something big that God is doing in His plan, and to not to sit this one out on the sidelines, but actually to lean in. Is very rewarding. And so I just want to encourage people, come out and help. And, whether you help at one of our pantries, or just look for ways you can be an encouragement and serve your neighbors and serve others. It would really, I think you would be really, really blessed by that.
Yeah, for sure. I know studies, Hermie, studies have shown that when you volunteer and you go do something good for somebody else, oxytocin, the hormone oxytocin, is literally released in your brain. And it's just proven, it's scientific, and it's as if God has created a natural human biological response for us when we actually go and do something good for somebody in need. It's amazing. So if you want some oxytocin released in your brain, I'll make sure to put the link to sign up for CityTeam. Menlo San Jose, they're there every first and third Wednesday of the month, but they are all over, just as you heard, 25 sites, and handing out food left and right. And so I'll make sure the link is there for you guys to sign up. Make sure to bring your family, you invite your friends, your coworkers. It'll just be a great time out. And CityTeam is one of my favorite partners, if not my favorite partner so far. So Hermie,
that's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Is there anything I didn't ask that you'd just like to share and just relay to everybody listening?
Yeah, I think just I just want to encourage people just to get involved. Take baby steps. It's not you don't have to, unless I can solve hunger in Silicon Valley, unless I can solve that overnight, it's not worth doing. If you can help one or two people, and you're part of the solution, you're part of the answer. And some people are physically hungry, others are hungry for interaction, others need a friend. There's just so many ways. So just get involved. And I think also a lot of people don't really understand just what the needs are here in Silicon Valley. And, you know, we live pretty siloed lives, and sometimes we just don't know. And yeah, I want to encourage you to kind of look at, there's a lot of needs. You don't need to go to developing world. There's a lot of really legitimate needs here in the Bay Area that that you are uniquely gifted to really to bring help. So so yeah, we'd love to, if you choose CityTeam to be part of that, we'd love to have you, and look for opportunities to do that. And as COVID will at some point will go have less and less restrictions, there'll be a lot more also volunteer opportunities and ways to give and ways to get involved. So yeah, just want to encourage, and again, thank you, Menlo, for our partnership. And I just look forward to doing more in the future.
Hermie, thank you so much, man, for jumping on and doing this with me. Thank you for being a local hero right here, Silicon Valley. You guys, CityTeam is the name of the organization, CityTeam of San Jose. And I promise you, you will be a local hero if you decide to join us and help us hand out some groceries to people in need. Remember, if you haven't, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please share this video anywhere on social media. Tag us, tag Menlo. This will help give the video more exposure and encourage others to engage in their local community. And remember, you guys, no matter what our communities are facing, there is always hope, because anything is possible. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.